Yo, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone's having an amazing day. And this is part 6 of What If Deku Had the Quirk Predator. I know a lot of you been waiting for this, and I have as well, because I want to end this series as quick as possible because, I got other series to do, and this series needs to end, my guy. We needed, this story has been so good that we need to, end it real quickly. So, this should be ending at part 7, maybe part 8, somewhere around that. And if you guys haven't checked out my collab that I did with True Beta, please go check that out. That's What If Deku had, was a hollow. So if you haven't checked that out, please go check that out. And other than that, guys, let's get straight into the intro.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through eyes covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
Okay guys, let's not waste any more time and let's get straight into this what if. So we start off where we left off, so I'm gonna be recapping what happened. So Izuku just walked in on Ida and Stain, them fighting, as Ida is paralyzed laying on the ground. As Izuku raised up his fist and is about to punch Stain, as Stain jumps back and Izuku's fist lands on the ground. When Izuku's fist makes contact with the ground, it creates a huge crater which basically shatters everything surrounding it. When Stain sees this, he's just astonished and wonders how powerful Izuku is. As he looks at Izuku, he tells Izuku if he can't make him paralyzed, he might as well cut him up into little pieces. When both Izuku and Stain were rushing at each other, as Stain was slicing and dicing toward Izuku, Izuku was just trying to dodge all the attacks, as he decided that he's gonna use one of Gran Torino's techniques, as he uses one of his thrusters to redirect Stain's attention toward it, as he immediately used 1% of One for All into his fist and punches Stain, which completely knocks him out. As Ida just looked at Izuku in astonishment. He just wondered how powerful Izuku really is. As the paralysis wore off, Ida got up and told Izuku that this wasn't his fight and that this was his. Izuku just looked down toward the ground and walked toward Ida, as he looked at Ida's face and slapped him, as Ida just fell to the ground by the force of the slap, since Izuku is really strong. As Ida looked up at Izuku, Izuku told Ida that this is not his fight and that he shouldn't be driven by revenge. But before anything else could happen, Todoroki appeared and sees Izuku. Then Todoroki was about to ask Izuku why he called him. Then he notices the hero hunter and realized what happens. As Izuku told Todoroki that he was gonna call him if the battle got too intense. As right then and there, Native screamed out of nowhere, as they all turned around and saw Stain getting right back up. As Izuku sighs, rushing back in and punching Stain straight in the face, but with this time 2% of One for All, which actually completely knocked out Stain as he fell to the ground unconscious. But right then and there, Endeavor arrives and starts praising Izuku as he sees the Stain killer unconscious, as he asks Todoroki if he was the one who defeated the Stain killer. As Todoroki shakes his head, telling Endeavor that it was actually Izuku. As Endeavor looked with a disappointed face toward Izuku and Todoroki and basically everyone there, realizing that Shoto wasn't the one who defeated the Stain killer. As the next day rolls by, All Might explains the rescue training race, telling everyone that this race is where they're gonna have to get to him first, and whoever makes it to him first is the winner. As everyone lines up, getting ready for the race. As they yell go, Izuku immediately turned on his thrusters. Before even anyone could notice, Izuku got to All Might before All Might could even blink. That's how fast Izuku was, as everyone just saw Izuku as a blur. As everyone's just looking at Izuku in shock. Even All Might, thinking that he wasn't even this fast in his prime. As Izuku chuckles, asking All Might if he won. As All Might just nods, as everyone is just confused in what just happened. When the race ends, All Might calls over Izuku, telling him to meet him after class. As Izuku agrees, the class ends as Izuku meets All Might and sees All Might sitting down on a couch. As All Might is deflated, asking Izuku how he was able to go that fast. As Izuku explains to All Might is just astonished and asked him if he combined One for All with it. As Izuku just looks in shock, realizing that he didn't, as he wonders how fast he'll actually go if he combined One for All with it. Yeah, that's right, I'm giving Izuku light speed. Yeah, that's right. He's gonna be as fast as light. Do I need to emphasize it more? I feel like I do. He's gonna go fast as light. That's right. So we continue on with the story as All Might is just looking in astonishment, realizing that he didn't even combine One for All with that quirk. As Izuku decides that he might as well test it out, as he tells All Might to meet him outside. As All Might gets there, Izuku turns on his thrusters, and he legit turns on One for All as well in his feet. As he gets ready, he immediately thrusts through as he breaks the sound barrier and goes faster than light. As Izuku's particles were ripping off and reforming when he was slowing down. As All Might just looked at Izuku, saying nothing, telling Izuku to get started already. As Izuku said that he already did, as All Might is just looking in astonishment, asking him if he was really that fast. As Izuku just nods, as All Might realizes that the future is in pretty good hands. As the next day rolls by, Aizawa starts to explain what the final exams are, as everyone's getting anxious, thinking about what they're gonna be doing in the final exams. As everyone gets ready for the final exams, everyone starts to see what they can do. As Izuku just starts training in his new abilities, making sure he can improve it and make it better. As the exam day comes by, Izuku takes the written portion of the exam and just does regular, just like in canon. As we skip to the teacher versus student fights. Here's where the difference is gonna be. So Bakugo's not gonna be fighting All Might. It's only gonna be Izuku, okay? Principal Nezu is gonna be fighting Bakugo, Kaminari, and Ashido. Okay, that's what's gonna happen here. As both Kaminari, Ashido, and Bakugo pass the exam because Bakugo's on the team and he carried them. And Bakugo is angry because only Izuku is gonna be fighting All Might. As All Might and Izuku get ready for the exam, All Might doesn't put on the restraints. He knows how powerful Izuku is, so he gets ready for an amazing fight. As Izuku enters the city, seeing All Might. As All Might rushes at Izuku as fast as he possibly can, as Izuku easily dodges this. And All Might is thinking that Izuku's probably gonna use his thrusters, as he grabs Izuku's legs and is about to, rip him off because he knows Izuku can heal. But before All Might could grab Izuku's legs, Izuku immediately turned on his thrusters and used his light speed and immediately blitzed through and made it toward the gate. That's right, Izuku immediately passed because, he can go light speed, so Izuku's already on the other side of the gate passing the exam. As the next day rolls by, everyone is just praising Izuku for beating All Might, as Izuku says that it was nothing. As Aizawa walks in, telling everyone that everyone's actually going to be going to the training camp. As everyone gets excited, as Aizawa told everyone to be quiet, as he told everyone for the people who failed, they're going to be doing a lot more extra work. As for the people who failed, start sighing. As the next day arrives, as everyone gets on the bus after the confrontation with Class 1B. As everyone gets ready, they get to their first stop and see Pixie Bob and Mandalay as they're wondering what's going on. As they get out of the bus, Pixie Bob explains to them, telling them that their camp is all the way over there. As they ask Pixie Bob why she's telling them this. As Pixie Bob just smiles and touches the ground. As everyone realizes what's going on, they start running toward the bus, as Izuku's the only one who gets there. But Pixie Bob knew that was gonna happen and made sure that the mud would encase Deku as well, as she pushed Deku and everyone else down toward the forest as well. As everyone gets up, they see all these dirt monsters and wonder what's going on. As the dirt monsters come out of the shadow, Izuku immediately rushes toward them, defeating all of them as everyone is just stunned, as all the monsters were defeated in under a second. As Pixie Bob is confused, she makes more and more monsters as everyone finally gets a chance to beat them, as they're extremely hard to beat, but Izuku is having a very easy time beating them, as everyone's wondering how powerful Izuku really is. As everyone gets to the camp in under 30 minutes, as no one is even bruised because Izuku did all the work. As Pixie Bob is just stunned and annoyed and impressed at Izuku's strength, as she tried to kiss Izuku, but Izuku easily was dodging them. As everyone gets ready, Pixie Bob makes a meal for everyone and makes a special meal for Izuku. As Izuku eats it, he hurls, seeing that it's pretty disgusting. As he eats all the other food, as Mandalay tells everyone that she actually made the food herself, as everyone gets impressed. But then Mandalay tells everyone that she's not going to be making the food for them all the time, and that they're heroes as well, so they're going to be making their own food the next day when they're done with their training. So basically everything that happens in the hot springs just go like in canon, as Izuku gets an attachment to Koda, seeing that Koda is actually a pretty good kid, as Koda just doesn't like heroes because of his parents being dead. As the next day rolls by, Aizawa tells everyone that this is probably going to be their worst day ever, as everyone starts to train their quirks trying to improve it. As Izuku doesn't know how to improve his quirk, as he asks Aizawa what he could do. As Aizawa thinks what Izuku might be able to do, he thinks of what Izuku might be able to hold, as he asks Izuku if he'll be able to hold other people's quirks. As Izuku thinks, he wonders himself, as he gets everyone else's DNA samples by asking them for hair, as he explains to them, telling them that this is part of his training. As Kachan was the most hesitant, but he gave a hair sample to Izuku. As he got all these hair samples, Aizawa told him to absorb them. As he does this, he scans every hair sample and gains all their quirks. And everything else isn't that important except for one quirk, the explosion quirk, as Izuku gets explosions on his feet. That's right, Izuku's gonna go even faster. So Izuku's able to explode things and with his feet, so Izuku's gonna be even faster in this what if. So let's say about 2 times light speed. I feel like that sounds right. Okay, so we're gonna go there. As Izuku is around much more faster, he's twice as fast with all these other abilities which increase his strength, agility, basically everything overall. As Izuku gains all of this, he starts training with these new abilities, gaining new insight on other people's quirks, understanding it more, evaluating them, and is appreciating everyone else's quirks and understanding why everyone uses it their way. As the day of training comes to an end, everyone starts to cook a meal for each other. As they start cooking, they realize that their cooking isn't that good, but they keep on eating, realizing that the food, even though it's not that great, is the only thing that they can eat, since they're all very hungry. But Izuku notices Koda going up a hill without even taking any food. So Izuku decides that he's gonna take some food up to Koda. As he gets there, he startles Koda, who is sitting up on the ledge, is thinking about life in general. As Koda looks at Izuku, he starts yelling at him, telling him to go away and that heroes aren't allowed here. As he starts yelling at Izuku, just like in canon. But then, out of nowhere, someone punched Izuku straight in the face. As Izuku, with a dull expression, turned his head and sees Muscular. As Muscular jumped back, not knowing how Izuku didn't even fall back, as his Muscular just plays this off as some weird quirk. As Muscular asks Izuku where Bakugo is, as Izuku just looks at Muscular and asks him why he wants to know where Bakugo is, as Muscular tells Izuku that it's none of his business. As Izuku gets sighs, as he just tells Muscular to get ready, as for some reason, Muscular's instincts tell him to create as much muscle fibers as he possibly can. As he starts creating these muscle fibers, as Izuku immediately rushes at him with full strength with light speed, as he immediately blitzes through, coming through Muscular, as Muscular immediately passes out. As Koda's just in amazement at Izuku's quirk. As Izuku turns around, telling Koda that a hero's job is to save people, and without saving people, there wouldn't be any people around. as Koda just looks at Izuku, as Izuku just tells Koda that they need to go now and that the others are in trouble. As Izuku gets there, he sees that everyone is already in a fight. As he sees Bakugo, he lands near Bakugo, telling him what was going on. As Bakugo gets excited, telling Izuku to not get in his way. As he immediately fly toward Aizawa, seeing Aizawa fighting Dabi. As Izuku immediately rushed in and kicked Dabi as Dabi's head immediately fell off. As Dabi's head was just looking at Izuku, wondering who this kid is, as he was able to take him out immediately. As Dabi's double just fell back into a puddle of sludge. As Izuku's just wondering what's going on, confused. As he rushed back, Aizawa tells Izuku to relay this to Mandalay, telling everyone that everyone's in trouble and that they're allowed to use their quirks. As Izuku nods and flies toward Mandalay, telling her to tell everyone that they can use their quirks, as Mandalay just agrees. But then, out of nowhere, a villain appears with a huge sword. As they're about to attack Izuku, Izuku usually catches the sword and punches the villain who got easily knocked out. But Izuku feels something weird going on. As he rushes back, he sees Tokiyami with his quirk encasing him. As Izuku immediately flies down, he starts to fly around Tokiyami, creating light to make Tokiyami's quirk go back into him. As Tokiyami's quirk went back into him, he thanked Izuku, telling him that he was really appreciated for Izuku's help. As Izuku just said it was fine. But Izuku felt something else. It wasn't Tokiyami that he felt. It was Mr. Compressed, as Mr. Compressed immediately was about to catch Izuku as he compressed Izuku into a tiny ball, as Izuku couldn't do anything. See, the villains went for Izuku this time. They didn't go for Bakugo or anyone else like that. They wanted to go for Bakugo because he was the second strongest, but they found Izuku, and Muscular didn't know that that was Izuku. So that's what's gonna happen here. Mr. Compressed found Izuku and compressed Izuku and takes him back. As Tokiyami was too scared to use his quirk, thinking that it would overload him and basically kill everyone there. And Shoji wasn't powerful enough as Mr. Compressed easily got away. As Dabi said that they did good enough as they easily took Izuku back to their lair. As they uncompressed Deku, Izuku easily flies around, destroying everyone as he knocks everyone out as everyone just falls to the ground. But then Izuku felt that ominous presence again as All For One stepped out of the shadows. As All For One started telling Izuku that he's very impressive and asked him if he would like to join his villain league. As Izuku just stared at All For One, telling him that he'll never will join his villain league. As he was about to blitz All For One used one of his tentacles and pulled Izuku toward him. As Izuku was still unfazed as he just easily ripped it out. But he wasn't expecting what All For One was gonna do next. As All For One grabbed Izuku's forehead and stole Izuku's quirk. As Izuku was trying to phase away from All For One's hands using his flight speed quirk, he was unable to. As Izuku was about to do it again, but he was still unable to. He was wondering what was going on and realized that he wasn't unable to turn into a slime. He realized that All For One just stole his quirk. As All For One started laughing, telling Izuku that he's worthless now, as he face swats Izuku toward the side. As Izuku was thrown out of the building by All For One, he lands toward the ground as Izuku has a broken arm now, as Izuku can feel the pain. As Izuku gets up, telling All For One that he's not done yet, as All For One laughs, telling Izuku that he doesn't even have a quirk and that he can never be able to beat him. As all of a sudden, Izuku smiles as he immediately charges up One For All in both of his hands, as he rushes at All For One, as All For One is just wondering how Izuku still has a quirk. As Izuku still has remains of his old quirk, as Izuku uses some of his fire regenerative ability. If you remember, in the part 2 or whenever the USJ happened, Izuku got this ability as he punched All For One straight in the face. As All For One fell back, confused in how he can still feel pain after he got Izuku's abilities. as Izuku started pummeling All For One, as All For One is just wondering what's going on, as he pummels to the ground as he hits All For One's face as All For One falls unconscious. As All Might arrives, he sees Izuku laying on the ground, passed out. As the day ends, All For One was forced to give Izuku's quirk back, as everything else goes back to normal. See, I kind of rushed through the story because I think this is going to be the final part, guys. Because there's not much to say. Izuku's way overpowered. If we skip to the provisional license exams, basically what's going to happen is Izuku's going to be able to use all of his abilities, as everyone is just confused in how Izuku's this strong. As they just know that in the sports festival, all the abilities that Izuku had then, as Izuku has all these abilities that Izuku can use. As everyone's just wondering, and Izuku wins the provisional license exam. And then we continue on with the overhaul arc, as Izuku immediately sees Eri and sees that she's in trouble, as he just saves her and basically destroys Overhaul, since Overhaul is not much of a challenge for him. And then that's basically it, guys. So there's not going to be much of a story after this, so I think this is going to be the last part. So this is probably where I'm going to be ending it off. If you guys like this story, and if you guys want another part for me to explain the Overhaul arc and the provisional license arc, go ahead and, like the video, subscribe, do whatever you guys want. And other than that, guys, I'm going to be working on the other videos, and I actually have a collab coming soon. Because I know this video is not going to get many views as my other videos, but still, for the people who do watch this video all the way to the end, I'm going to be doing a collab, and you guys better be waiting for that. And it's going to be a really long one. It's going to be a 1-hour special, so you guys better be waiting for that. And other than that, guys, I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you guys later.